Hi Holly, we're here to talk about challenging expectations and how you've moved from capable to QTS. Can you tell me when you started in a new class about your confidence within challenging pupils?
Initially, when you start in a new class, you heavily rely on your mentor to navigate you into your ability groups. So most schools would go low ability, middle ability and higher ability. Then as my experience through my CP2 placement went on, you have more confidence to then differentiate further. I was thinking about my SEN learners independently and having those collaborative talks with their one-to-one LSAs, and for your more able and talented learners, putting exceeding challenges and even thinking using Bloom's taxonomy as well.
Excellent. So looking at really specific differentiation then within your class. That's great, thank you. Can you share some examples of how you've challenged pupils within your feedback then?
Within feedback, we use live action marking. So, for example, if a child is working at a certain level and I think that's too easy for them, we can live action mark and challenge them, up level them, and put in those questions straight away rather than doing 100 sums, for example. At one level, if they've got it after 10, we can during the lesson change that and make it harder for them. For those children that are more able and talented, throw things into a problem solving question to match Welsh Government guidelines and testing and assessment. And through literacy, we can change ability groups, the reading, through continuous assessment.
Excellent, thank you. So you mentioned challenging questions there. How would you source those questions when you're giving your feedback?
You have to initially, through your planning, be very aware of Welsh Government assessment levels for your year group, and I would say year above and below, especially now with progress steps, in order for you to be accurately challenging the children appropriately. So there would sometimes be a bank of questions I would pre-prepare before lesson, and sometimes have the ability and the knowledge of where the children should be at above and below. Makes it easier to do on the job, meeting the children's needs whilst you're there.
Excellent. And the impact on pupils' learning then?
Pupils then, that link to other aspects of not just their learning but the behaviour, because you were meeting their needs accurately. That made them able to challenge themselves further, pushing them out of their comfort zone slightly, and that personal feeling of they've achieved something, and the feedback from children of having challenge is a positive, not to be something feared of.
Excellent. And what steps have helped support your progress towards challenging expectations?
Some university tasks guide me along to where you had to track children's learning. So I would actively have meetings with my senior mentor to make sure, as well as my mentor, that I was meeting those children's needs, especially at the time. As a school, we were pushing more able and talented learners. So for me, I was able to prove that I was tracking the children by showing their challenges and recording that and uploading it onto my profile. And
you've had opportunities to go and visit other schools as well and see what their challenge and expectation looks like?
Yes, that was a positive part of university giving us the opportunity with collaborating with other schools. We would be able to go out and see how differentiation, for example, and challenge was executed, and have the children to have the opportunity to speak to the children about their feedback of challenge and if they enjoyed the work and if it was at their level. So being able to see other teachers marking and feedback also helped my practice, and something that I could take back to my mentor and discuss.
Great experiences, thank you. And what inquiry activities have supported you in your progress towards this standard?
So we were given through seminars in our smaller groups and through as part of the university tasks. We were given a bank of strategies to go out and implement in school by picking individual learners, having that discussion with our mentors and identifying relevant pupils, or through my own learning and my own practice, identifying children and presenting them to my mentor and trying to look at strategies to implement to improve reading. The university gave us one where we would track learners by listening to them using coding. For example, how many times they stutter and stop to check their fluency of their reading and see if that would flag up against, for example, any additional learning need, which then I could then present back to university through seminars or the class teacher and present my findings to them.
And how have these activities informed your practice going forward?
So by having these bank of strategies, I can now use them with any children, identify their needs. If it's in my current class, future classes, there are strategies that I can put in place, identify the needs, and then pass them back to either a mentor, ALNCO, higher leadership team, to say my findings and any concerns, and then we can then appropriately, either myself or collaboratively, put a strategy in place to meet that child's needs through additional reading or resources, etc.
Excellent, and that definitely hits a leadership standard there with sharing with your mentors and other staff. And I can also tell from our conversations that there's been impacts on the standards of listening to learners, differentiation, and huge collaboration across your teaching. So thank you very much.